In order to receive something, we have to provide something. Everything in this universe has been created from Mother. They give that much and they receive that much. I don't go to another side because that's where dust begins. You will fall down, go into this direction. The goal is to keep that balance, guys. Ask and you shall receive. Only then you shall receive the keys to equanimity. Hello, beautiful souls of creation. So today we will be talking about transaction versus providing, value giving, and kind of like drinking from the eternal source of creation. So we have two aspects here in ours. One is transactional, which is purely coming from the mind aspect, and another one is providing, giving, finding value for everything around us, the possibility to see beyond ourselves. This transactional approach, it refers mainly to the masculine aspect in ours. If we will look around us today, we will notice that everything here in our world is quite transactional, even in Mother Nature. In order to receive something, we have to provide something, and then we receive like literally equal value. That's what the mind says. Now, there is something beyond that when there is another reality, which is called feminine reality, when synchronicity start happening out of the blue. Everything in this universe has been created from Mother, feminine aspect. Of course, we have to make this union between masculine and feminine to create this beautiful child. However, we want to understand that Mother provides that nurturing. Mother provides that fulfillment. Now, if we look to our tarot cards, in tarot cards, the first prevalent card, which goes before the masculine, quite masculine card, Emperor, the first one comes is Empress. And it's all about femininity. So we have to, first of all, master that feminine aspect in ours, acknowledge and honor it. And then we structure it with the Emperor. And then we observe true knowledge of this universe. We gain access to the keys of all creation. And we start literally creating everything from that fountain, the eternal fountain of all the knowledge, of all the higher intelligence. So understanding this gives us also clarity that only in the state of equanimity and balancing these two aspects in us, feminine and masculine, we can gain the keys to creation. If we go too much into feminine, we also lose ourselves here. I have, for example, some truly feminine friends, and they are experiencing lots of synchronicities in their lives. They are so-called flowing in lives, but they cannot really create truly anything. So they're kind of like flowing, not knowing what they are doing with their lives. Now, I also have truly masculine friends here, and they are into too much transactional approach, and that's why they give that much and they receive that much, and the pathway which they experience here towards their goals and achieving everything around their ambitions is really hard. They are hard people. Their shells are hard. Well, here, there is no shell at all. You are flowing. Everything is happening, but at the same time, you are not really creating anything because you are continuously into some flowing mode. So it's very important to balance these two aspects. I had this question in me, like quest, for a while, and I managed to balance it out in me. Currently, I go into that middle sense of all creation, and I remind myself continuously that I have to stand there firmly. I don't go to one side, I don't go to another side, because that's where dust begins. I only stand firmly. Now, those who are in the angelic teachings, you can remember Michael, for example. Michael stands firmly. Look at this, he stands firmly. Even there are stones here, he stands firmly, but at the same time, he has wings here. He has his sword and his shield, right? So he knows that he stands firmly here. He's not in the clouds, and he is at the same time not completely burdened by this reality. He can create from top, from the middle, from the center of all centers. So what I would highly recommend here is to have some kind of symbolic representation in your space, what represents that middle. Whenever you go through the rope, let's say, if you go too much into one space or into another space, you will fall down. That's how life here is. You will fall down, go into this direction, right? Too much. You will fall down if you go into this direction too much. The goal is to keep that balance, guys. Balance, and then you have the keys of all creation. Look at this card. It represents that balance in you. So once you are balanced, once you are in that equanimity, what happens is you literally start sensing this reality differently. You start breathing differently. Many new things start occurring into your life on a completely different level. And at the same time, you stand firm on this ground, you see reality, and then you fly. It was an interesting quest for me for a while, just to experience that and understand that. And I realized that the most important thing today is to have that equanimity and not be into the periphery of that tycoon of chaos where we are today. So we must continuously stand in the eye of that tycoon. And this is exactly what the Indian scriptures are talking about. Let me show you something. This is one of my favorite books, which I keep coming back to again and again. The Supreme Yoga Vasishta. So one of my dearest friends here recommended it to me. He's one of the most beautiful souls which I ever met here. He's very impactful into this world, and he has a strong femininity aspect in him. He's quite balanced and in that equanimity. Again, his impact into the world is really strong. And he told me, Yulia, I've been reading this book for 20 years and I didn't even scratch the surface. That struck me. I was thinking, oh, that's interesting. He's been reading it for 20 years and he didn't even scratch the surface of it. So probably it's the time to be involved into that reading. Now I started reading it, and what I opened up for myself is that it continuously keeps coming back with multiple metaphors to that equanimity state. The equanimity state is achieved here based on this description when you go out of the mind state. Understand one thing, the mind, when we are in the mind and what we are wired here for, actually, all this society is about this. What we see, it's all about this transactional approach here. It only can perceive what it experiences. But this book is talking about inquire and you shall receive. By the way, do you remember the same code is being multiple times told to in the Bible? Inquire, ask, and you shall receive. So once you realize that and you start growing that internal child within you, I inquire that equanimity. I inquire that equanimity in my life. And you just start observing what's happening in your life after that. But continue inquiring. If you are too much into the masculine aspect and you sense it, then you want to inquire that equanimity by inviting more femininity into your life. If you are too much into that feminine aspect and you go with the flow continuously, and you don't really create any impact here into this world, you just flow with life here and there. So you want to invite a bit more masculinity into your life to balance it out. Only then you shall receive the keys to equanimity. That's the next card, archetypal card in the major arcana. All right? In the major arcana in tarot world, that's a very interesting royal pathway of all creation, right? There are so many keys which are encoded there if you start observing them. And major arcana shows that royal pathway of all creation. The first card is the Fool. Then the Fool becomes the Magician, right? And then it comes more and more cards, but you have to master those chords within you so that you would finally go to the world, really providing value to the world, uniting with all the world, and completing the cycle. That's all what we are here for, in fact. Now, when we are in the full card of our creation, we always want to acquire all those skills of superhuman manifestations and everything around that realm. And it is actually important skill sets so that we could jump to the magician. But remember, when you jump to the magician, still inquire the equanimity. If you jump to the magician and you inquire those magical powers by going into that transactional mode with the mind, right? That much you shall receive, and your pathway will be hard. Your pathway will be slippery. You always want the union with the Creator and acting from that union, because that's where the equanimity lays down. That's where you will actually be capable to provide so much more into this world. Unite with the world. I wish I could show you that card from the deck, but currently it is not here, so I would just leave it to your imagination. Right now, I will show it to you. The World card, it's all about that completing the circle. So in my deck, a 3-Devia tarot deck, which I created specifically for working with your mind, not for divination purposes, for working with your mind, rewiring your mind to keep that equanimity and balance within you, there is 3-Devia, that lady who appears all around my deck, and she stands in the middle of all creation. All right, here it is. This is a beautiful, beautiful completing the circle card. She stays in there and she's complete. She is in that absolute state of abundance, flow, and complete connection to all the creation. And that's what we are all heading to. That's from where we are all coming from, and that's where we are all finish this cycle. All right, so with that in mind, I wish you a beautiful day, and I hope that these thoughts will help you to start thinking about that equanimity more. I have created multiple courses in my website talking about how we get back to that equanimity mode and how we keep that balance and we walk through life staying firm on the ground, but at the same time flying. Thank you so much, and I hope it served you well.